Morning. I'm in Glen Taitneath on the Dalmunsey estate in Scotland. We're near the Glenshee ski area, which is the biggest ski area in Scotland, and it's taken me about 2 hours to get to this particular point from the road, and we're a good 30 miles from the nearest hospital. So I'm going to talk this morning about what to do in this kind of remote place, this remote situation, if you sustain a musculoskeletal injury such as an ankle sprain. Because it's going to take a long time for help to get to you, and there's a good chance you're going to have to walk out yourself with your sprained ankle. There's no phone signal here down in this valley, so if you've got people with you, you're going to have to send them for help, or if you're on your own, as I am this morning, you're going to have to make your own way out of the mountain and off the mountains. So if you sprained your ankle in this kind of situation, you're going to have to do a number of things in order to improve your chances of being able to walk on it and get out of here. Now, just like you would do if you were playing a game of rugby or football and you sprain the ankle in a location where you're surrounded by people, first thing you do is ice. Now, fortunately, there's plenty of water here, plenty of running streams, and they're all very cold. So I would take myself to the nearest stream and plunge my foot into that water. Now, I know it's freezing cold, but once you've put your foot in there for about 2 minutes, it will go pretty numb and you won't really feel the cold anymore. So persevere, get your foot in, get the cold through to the joints of the ankle and the ligaments around the ankle, and that will go a long way to reducing swelling within the foot. And if you can manage it, do 10 minutes with your foot in that water, getting the swelling down. Whilst you're doing this, obviously you need to make sure you're not going to become hypothermic. It's March at the moment, you can see the snow behind me, so you need to make sure the rest of you is warm. Put your hat on, wrap yourself up in your coat. If there's people with you, get them to cuddle around you and keep you nice and warm. If you have the ability to put up like an emergency bothy around yourself, then do so. Arrange your rucksacks to get yourself out of the wind, or just simply, if it's a stream, chances are you can drop down out of the wind. So that would be your immediate action, ice, whilst maintaining body warmth. Now, it's the body warmth, just to re-emphasize that point, you may be warm when you start, but you need to make sure that you stay warm. It's no good waiting until you get cold, because once that heat is gone, it's gone. So you need to wrap yourself up warm before you get cold. Those of you who are used to the mountains are aware of the layering system. You need to make sure that when you're moving, you're cool. And chances are when you sprain your ankle, you were moving at the time, so you're probably quite hot at that point. But as soon as you stop, you need to warm yourself up, and especially if you're putting your foot into freezing cold stream because you've sprained your ankle, or worse, fractured your ankle, then you need to really get yourself warm and out the wind. Okay, so you've had your foot in the water, you've managed to minimize the swelling as much as possible. Next thing is to get your foot out of the water. Dry it off as best you can, shake the excess water off, get a towel, or if you haven't got a towel, a spare pair of socks, or use your t-shirt or anything like that, just to dry it off. If you are using your t-shirt, don't forget, your t-shirt will probably dry out pretty quickly close to your body, although it is going to cool you down initially. So really you want something you're not going to have on you, like a spare pair of socks. So you've dried your foot off, and now what you need to do is compression. Now if you were alert and you brought a tubey grip with you, that's a compression type sock that you can put on the ankle, or you can put it on an elbow or anywhere else, then obviously put that on. If you don't have that, and hopefully you do, but if you don't, after this video hopefully you will do, you'll bring a tubey grip with you, they weigh nothing. But if you haven't got that, then you're just going to have to put your socks on nice and tight, and put your boots on and just do them up nice and tight. Okay, now if you're placed like this, I would hope that you're wearing good boots with good ankle support. By doing them up nice and tight, you're going to put compression on the ankle, and that's going to help to keep the swelling down. Swelling is your enemy at this stage. If your ankle swells up, it's going to really restrict the movement and really restrict your ability to weight bear upon it. Now, it is possible to weight bear on a broken ankle. I've done it myself when I was younger. I was parachuting, landed on the drop zone, and not only did I weight bear on this broken ankle, I was carrying all my parachute canopy, my reserve parachute, and I walked off the drop zone for a good 300 or 400 yards before I got to the medical point and they had a look at my ankle. So it's a myth when people say you can't weight bear on a broken ankle. That's a real myth. You definitely can weight bear on a broken ankle. I don't recommend that you weight bear on it. You shouldn't really. You shouldn't weight bear on it at all. You should get it immobilized. But in a situation where you have to, and if I sprain my ankle here, I would probably have to weight bear on it in order to get back down to civilization, then in that situation, then you really don't have much choice. You're going to have to weight bear on it. But hopefully you haven't broken it, you've just sprained it. So you do your boot laces up nice and tight, and you want to reduce the amount of pressure going through that ankle. Now, if you have walking sticks, excellent. You can obviously use your walking sticks to assist you. If you don't have walking sticks, find a stick, have a look around you, see what you can find. Now, in this particular glen, you're not going to find a great deal. There's no trees here, apart from at the bottom of the glen, but at the bottom of the glen you wouldn't be too far from civilization anyway. Up here there aren't many trees. If you're going to find trees, they'll be up the gullies, up the little side gullies. There are often trees up there, but you don't want to be wandering up there if you've got a sprained ankle. So if you can get something to support yourself, do. If you can't, then you're just going to have to struggle along. If there's somebody with you, obviously lean on them. And then you're going to have to walk basically on your sprained ankle. That's going to be painful and sore. So a good medical kit will contain some painkillers, paracetamol, and ibuprofen. Now, paracetamol you can take on an empty stomach, has few side effects. Ibuprofen is a very good anti-inflammatory, but you do have to take it with food, otherwise it's going to cause stomach problems, and if you're taking it over a very prolonged period of time, it can cause stomach ulcers. But in an acute situation such as this, you don't need to be worrying about stomach ulcers, but you do need to be taking food. So eat some food, take some ibuprofen and some paracetamol. Now, I'm not a pharmacist, but I can tell you that you can take paracetamol and you can take ibuprofen, and I would take the maximum dose as per the label on your bottle, in order to reduce the amount of pain that you've got and to start reducing the swelling that's going to occur in your ankle. Because if you're having to walk on a sprained ankle, like I said, it took me 2 hours to get here, it's going to take you a lot longer to get back, then it's going to potentially be quite swollen by the time you get back to civilization. And then you're going to have to start walking down the hill. As I've already mentioned, there are plenty of streams here, so it may be that you want to stop every half an hour, every hour, or whenever you pass a convenient stream, take your boots off, plunge your foot into that water, get the swelling down as much as you can, and then take it back out, put your tubey grip on, put your socks on, lace up the boots as tight as you can, use your sticks, use a improvised walking stick if you find something, and then carry on down. Keep checking your phone. It may be that you come to a position where you do get a signal. If you've got a friend with you, of course, you can send them up to the top of the hills. There will be a signal up there, but you're not going to be walking up there if you've got a sprained ankle. Once you get back to civilization, and if necessary, you take yourself to hospital, get it x-rayed. If there's no fracture, it's just a sprain. Same routine, rest, ice, compression. The one thing we haven't done is, well, in fact, we haven't rested, of course, we've had to walk on it in this situation, but the other one is elevation. You need to elevate your leg, okay, get the swelling out of that leg. And then give us a call at New Forest Physio Clinic, 023 800 120, and we can commence physiotherapy quite quickly. If it's broken, you'll have to go into a plaster for 6 weeks. You might even need an operation, but hopefully not. If it's just sprained, give us a call. We can get you in very quickly. Immediate treatment would be ultrasound, and would get you doing some gentle exercises just to get the ankle moving as soon as possible. And then as things progress over the coming weeks, we'll get you doing things like heel lifts. That's where you drop your heel off a step and lift up onto your toes. We'll get you exercising on it as it gets stronger, and your sense of balance on it. So a good balance exercise, just standing on one leg, on the affected leg, keeping your balance as long as possible. Then as your balance improves, we'll start to get you jumping, bunny jumps, that's with both feet, and then progressing ultimately onto hopping, and then crossover hopping is the ultimate test, which is where you cross in like a figure of 8. So you're getting lateral movement, forwards and backwards movement, and it's putting a lot of strain on the muscles and the ligaments and the proprioceptive input to the ankle. And that is important when you're rehabilitating any sprained ligament or muscle or tendon for that matter. The way the body works, it works on progressive overload. So you don't want to overload it too soon. So I certainly wouldn't get you hopping on it as soon as you turned up at the clinic the day after the sprain. But after 4 to 6 weeks, depending upon how bad the sprain was, we would perhaps get you doing hopping after that sort of length of time. And progressive overload means that your ligaments respond to the stress placed upon it. So if you've torn those ligaments, little stresses that are just a little bit more, only a little bit more than what it can cope with, well, not, let me rephrase that, not what it can cope with, taking it up to the edge of its ability. You don't want to do more than it can cope with or you'll make it worse, but taking the exercise up to the edge of your ability and just straining it enough so that it's being stimulated to heal itself. Basically the body works on being stimulated to heal. It needs the stimulus in order to know to build more ligament tissue and to build itself up. So I hope that's been useful on what to do when you've sprained your ankle in a remote place such as where we are now. And I love coming to places like this. It's great to come to wilderness locations, and I really encourage you to do so. But it's important to know how to look after yourself, especially if you're on your own, should the worst happen. And thank you for listening, and hopefully you'll listen again soon to another video.